Hello guys, welcome to BIOGURU. Today we will discuss about the cell, the structural and functional unit of life. So cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. And what is biology? Biology is the study of form, function and interrelationship of living organisms. And generally we look two types of things around us. First is living, second is non-living. Living things are humans, insects, bacteria, animals, etc. And non-living things are football, chair, table, your camera, etc. So, now what is that makes an organism living? तो ऐसी क्या चीज है जिसकी वजह से हम किसी organism को living कहेंगे? The presence of the basic unit of life, the cell, in all living organisms, because all living organisms are composed of cells. And organisms are classified into two parts. First is called unicellular organisms and second is called multicellular organisms. Organism made up of single cell are called multicellular. No, they are called unicellular. And organisms made up of multiple cells, many cells, are called multicellular organisms. So, what is a cell? Cell is the fundamental, structural and functional unit of all living organisms. So, unicellular organism just like bacteria, protozoan, and multicellular organism, insects, humans, plants, etc. And then unicellular organisms have independent existence and performing the essential functions of life. जितने भी functions आपके multicellular organisms perform करते हैं वो सारे functions एक unicellular organism भी perform कर सकता है. And Anton van Leeuwenhoek first saw and described about a living cell. So, लिविंग सेल देखिए एंटोनी वैन लेवेनहॉक ने सबसे पहले एक लिविंग सेल को देखा एंड रॉबर्ट ब्राउन डिस्कवर्ड द न्यूक्लियस. हु डिस्कवर्ड द न्यूक्लियस? रॉबर्ट ब्राउन. Okay, so now who is the famous scientist in the field of protein structure? It is G.N. Ramachandran. That's good. Triple helical structure of collagen was discovered by Professor P. Maheshwari, Professor M.O.P. Inger, and G.N. Ramachandran and Carl Linnaeus. Yes, it is G.N. Ramachandran. And structural and functional units of organism is, yes, you are absolutely right, it is cells. Now, modern term of cytology, biotechnology, biophysics, cell biology, or biochemistry. Yes, you are right, it is cell biology. So, who introduced the term cell? Robert Brown, Robert Hooke, Melvin Calvin, or D. Roberts? Yes, you are right, Robert Hooke. So, now we will discuss about the cell theory. What is cell theory? And cell theory was given by the Schleiden and Schwann. So, in 1838, Matthias Schleiden, a German botanist, examined a large number of plants and he observed that plants are composed of different kinds of cells. Cells, tissues, because cells, tissues form करेंगे tissues, organs. So, who studied different types of animal cells? So, animal cells को discover किया Theodore Schwann ने. Okay, so Theodore Schwann, that's why cell theory दी थी Schleiden and Schwann दोनों ने मिलकर. And he reported that cells had a thin outer layer which is known as plasma membrane, जिसे आप cell membrane भी कहते हो. And Sean also concluded the presence of cell wall. उन्होंने cell wall, plants में cell wall को observe किया. It is a unique character of the plant cells. Sean proposed the hypothesis that the bodies of animals and plants are composed of cells and products of cells. Then who formulated cell theory? Yes, Schleiden and Schwann. That's good. So Schwann proposed the hypothesis that the bodies of animals and plants are composed of cells and products of cells. Products of cells is like tissue, organ system. So what is mean by omnicellular e-cellular? एक न्यू साइंटिस्ट है रुडोल्फ विर्शो. उन्होंने एक और पॉइंट ऐड किया सेल थ्योरी में, वो था omnicellular e-cellular. Mean to say new cells are formed from the pre-existing cell. Every cell arises from the pre-existing cell. So he firstly examined or explained that cells are divided and new cells are formed from pre-existing cells. It is called omnicellular e-cellular. And who modified the hypothesis of Schleiden and Schwann? As I told you, it is Rudolf Virchow. So Virchow modified the hypothesis of Schleiden and Schwann. And cell theory has two components or two postulates. First, all living organisms are composed of cells and products of cells. And second, all cells arise from the pre-existing cells. So now, some MCQs. Cell theory is credited to the work of Corti and Fontana, Hook and Leeuwenhoek, Brown and Hofmeister, or Schleiden and Schwann. Yes, it is Schleiden and Schwann. Cell theory cannot be applied to bacteria, algae, fungi, or viruses. Yes, viruses, because they are linked between the living and non-living organisms. The largest isolated single cell is egg of an ostrich, egg of cycas, egg of pinus, or egg of hen. Yes, it is egg of an ostrich. Longest cells are egg of an ostrich, nerve cells, PPLO, pneumonia-like organisms, or mycoplasmas. Yes, it is nerve cells. So largest plant cell, Acetabularia, belongs to dicots, monocots, fungi, or algae. Yes, it is a type of algae. Good. So now we will discuss an overview of the cell. And what is cell, or which cell is a typical plant cell? That is onion cell. So now you can see the structure of onion cell in this diagram or in this picture. So it has a distinct cell wall as its outer boundary, and just within it is a cell membrane. The human cheek cells have an outer membrane as the delimiting structure of the cell. देखिए एनिमल सेल्स में आपको सेल वॉल नहीं मिलता, बट प्लांट सेल्स में सेल वॉल होता है. Inside the cell is a dense membrane bound structure called nucleus. It is also called control room of the cell. So animal cell and plant cells both contains nucleus. And chromosomes. Chromosomes are situated or found inside the nucleus. Then chromosome contains genetic material or DNA, deoxyribose nucleic acid. So now there are two basic types of cells, prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So pro means primitive, karyon is nucleus. So prokaryotic mean to say organisms having primitive types of nucleus are called prokaryotic organisms and prokaryotic cells. And organisms have well-defined nucleus are called eukaryotic organisms and eukaryotic cells. So eukaryotic organism and eukaryotic cells. So eukaryotes and prokaryotes with membrane bound nucleus, mean to say true nucleus, and prokaryotic primitive nucleus, so like membrane bound nucleus. And in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, a semi-fluid matrix called cytoplasm occupies the volume of the cell. The cytoplasm is the main area of cellular activities in both the plant and animal cells. तो जो अदर एक्टिविटीज हैं, मेटाबॉलिक एक्टिविटीज हैं, एंजाइम रिएक्शंस हैं, वो सारी कहाँ होंगी इन द साइटोप्लाज्म. एंड वेरियस केमिकल रिएक्शंस occurs in it to keep the cell in the living state. So what is the main area of cellular activities in both the plant and animal cell? Yes, you are right, it is cytoplasm. Good, very good. Okay, now membrane bound organelles in the eukaryotic cells are nucleus, vacuoles, plastids, lysosomes, mitochondria, microbodies, Golgi complex, and endoplasmic reticulum. Nucleus, Golgi complex, vacuoles, you can see the structures, how they look, plastids, lysosomes, societal bags, mitochondria, powerhouse of cell, endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so prokaryotic cells lack such membrane bound organelles. जो prokaryotic हैं, just like bacteria, they don't have membrane bound cell organelles. Non-membrane bound organelles found in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes are ribosomes. तो ribosomes आपको prokaryotes and eukaryotes दोनों के अंदर ही मिलते हैं. Prokaryotes have 70S ribosomes and eukaryotes have 80S ribosomes. So now, and ribosomes are divided into two units, large subunit and small subunit, or you can say light and heavy subunits. So ribosomes are found in chloroplast, in mitochondria, and on rough endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so animal cells contain another non-membrane bound organelle called centriole, and centriole helps in the cell division. So what is the main function of centriole? Cell division. Cell differ greatly in size, shape and activities. So we have many types of cells in our body. हमारी बॉडी में बहुत सारे cells हैं, but they vary in size, shape and activities. सो माइकोप्लाज्मा, अगर हम नेचर की बात करते हैं, नेचर में बहुत सारे सेल्स, डिफरेंट टाइप ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं, डिफरेंट टाइप आपके प्लांट्स होते हैं, डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ एनिमल्स हैं एंड डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ ऑर्गेनिजम्स. Mycoplasma, the smallest cells, are only 0.3 micrometer in length. And bacteria could be 3 to 5 micrometer. The largest isolated single cell is the egg of an ostrich. Bacteria and egg of ostrich. Among multicellular organisms, human RBCs are about 7.0 micrometer and nerve cells are some of the longest cells. And cells also vary in shape greatly, round and biconcave just like RBCs, amoeboid, white blood cells, long and narrow, columnar epithelial cells, branched and long nerve cells, elongated tracheate cells, and round and oval mesophyll cells. Amoeboid, long and narrow. The shape of the cells may vary with the function they perform. तो उनके functions के according उनकी structure या shape भी vary करेगा. Elongated cells, round and oval. So now MCQs. Animal cell is differentiated from plant cell by the presence of nucleus, centromere, centriole or nucleosome. Yes, it is centriole. Longest living cell is ostrich egg cell, RBC, nerve cell, or trachea, it is nerve cell. Prokaryotic cell doesn't possess cell wall, cytoplasm, nuclear membrane or plasma membrane. Yes, nuclear membrane.